At 0600 hours on June 28, 1941, FBI agents knocked on doors simultaneously across New York City, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. 33 locations, 33 suspects. The arrests had been coordinated to occur within minutes of each other to prevent any suspect from warning others. By 6:30, all 33 suspects were in custody. Germany's largest espionage network in the United States had been dismantled in less than 30 minutes. The suspects included Frederick Fritz Joubert Duquesne, a 64-year-old South African who had been spying for Germany since World War I, Everett Roeder, a design engineer at the Sperry Gyroscope Company with access to classified bombsight technology, Lily Stein, who ran a modeling agency that served as a front for espionage operations, Hermann Lang, a naturalized German immigrant working at the Norden bombsight factory with access to America's most secret military technology. 33 people, all charged with espionage, all facing potential death sentences. The evidence against them was overwhelming and unprecedented. The FBI had filmed 200 meetings between the suspects and their handlers. Hidden cameras behind two-way mirrors had recorded conversations, document exchanges, money transfers. FBI technicians had intercepted and decoded hundreds of radio transmissions between the spy network and German intelligence in Hamburg. The documentation was so complete that defense attorneys would later admit the case was unwinnable. But the most remarkable aspect of the case was not the arrests or the evidence. It was how the FBI had obtained the evidence. For 16 months, from February 1940 through June 1941, the FBI had operated a fake spy headquarters in Manhattan while broadcasting fake intelligence to Germany from a radio station in Long Island. The entire German intelligence network in America had been compromised from the beginning without Germany knowing. And the man who made it possible was William Sebold, a German immigrant who had been recruited by German intelligence and immediately betrayed them to the FBI. William Sebold was born Wilhelm Dabowski in Mülheim, Germany, in 1899. He served in the German army during World War I, was wounded, and immigrated to the United States in 1921. He worked as a mechanic, became a naturalized American citizen in 1936, and lived quietly in California. In February 1939, he traveled to Germany to visit his mother who was ill. The visit would change his life and destroy Germany's espionage network in America. German intelligence identified Sebold as a potential recruit. He was German-born, spoke fluent German, worked in industrial facilities where he might have access to technical information, and held American citizenship, which would allow him to travel freely in the United States. The Abwehr German military intelligence approached him in Hamburg in September 1939. The approach was not subtle. Sebold was told that German intelligence knew about his criminal record in Germany from before he immigrated. The record was minor, some petty theft charges from the 1920s, but the implication was clear. Cooperate or face consequences. Sebold's family still lived in Germany. If Sebold refused to work for German intelligence, his family might suffer. Sebold agreed to cooperate. He was sent to a training facility outside Hamburg where he spent 4 months learning espionage tradecraft, radio operation, and Morse code, secret writing using invisible inks, microphotography reducing documents to tiny dots that could be hidden in letters, photography of industrial facilities, codes and ciphers for communicating with handlers. By January 1940, Sebold was trained and ready for deployment. German intelligence gave him multiple assignments. Establish a radio link between New York and Hamburg for transmitting intelligence from agents in America. Serve as courier and paymaster for the American spy network. Collect information on American aircraft production, especially bomb sites and targeting systems. Recruit additional agents among German immigrants in America. Sebold was given $5,000 in cash, a list of contacts in New York, several rolls of microphotography film containing instructions and questionnaires, and the components for building a shortwave radio transmitter. He was told to establish himself in New York, build the radio station, and begin operations immediately. German handlers would contact him through coded messages and newspaper advertisements and letters sent to accommodation addresses. Sebold sailed from Germany in January 1940. The ship stopped in Britain. British authorities boarded and inspected passenger documents as part of wartime security procedures. Sebold used this opportunity to contact British intelligence. He told them he had been recruited by German intelligence. He provided details about his training and assignments. He asked British intelligence to contact American authorities. British intelligence debriefed Sebold extensively. They photographed the microphotography films he was carrying. They documented his cover story and assignments. Then, they contacted the FBI through liaison channels. By the time Sebold's ship docked in New York on February 8, 1940, the FBI was waiting. FBI agents met Sebold privately. He repeated everything he had told British intelligence. He provided the contact list, the microphotography films, the radio components. He offered to work as a double agent to pretend to work for Germany while actually working for the FBI. The alternative was immediate arrest, but Sebold volunteered cooperation before being threatened. The FBI faced a decision: arrest Sebold and the contacts on his list immediately, or use Sebold to identify the entire German espionage network and gather evidence for prosecution. Immediate arrests would disrupt German intelligence operations, but might miss other agents. Using Sebold as a double agent was risky if Germany discovered the deception. They would change their methods and the intelligence would be lost. But if the operation succeeded, the FBI could dismantle the entire network. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover approved the double agent operation. Sebold would contact the agents on his list as instructed by German intelligence. He would establish the radio station. He would transmit intelligence to Germany. But everything would be controlled by the FBI. Every meeting would be documented. Every radio transmission would be monitored. Every piece of intelligence sent to Germany would be approved by the FBI to ensure it contained nothing genuinely damaging. The FBI set up an office at 152 West 42nd Street in Manhattan. The office was registered to a fictitious diesel engineering company. Sebold would use this office to meet with German agents. The office was fitted with surveillance equipment more sophisticated than anything previously used in American law enforcement. Two-way mirrors were installed in the walls between Sebold's office and an adjacent room. The mirrors appeared to be normal mirrors from Sebold's side but were transparent from the other side, allowing FBI agents to observe and film everything that occurred in the office. Hidden microphones were built into the walls and furniture to record conversations. The FBI obtained specialized film cameras from Bell & Howell and Eastman Kodak. The cameras were installed behind the two-way mirrors with lenses aimed at Sebold's desk and the chairs where visitors would sit. The cameras used 35mm film and were sound-equipped, a relatively new technology in 1940. FBI technicians could film and record simultaneously, creating documentary evidence of every meeting. The camera setup required constant attention. Each camera held approximately 10 minutes of film. FBI technicians in the adjoining room had to change film magazines continuously during meetings to ensure nothing was missed. The film had to be processed immediately afterward to verify quality. If a meeting was not captured properly, there was no way to recreate the evidence. The FBI also installed telephoto cameras in buildings across the street from 152 West 42nd Street. These cameras photographed everyone who entered or left the building. The FBI needed to identify all contacts, including individuals who might be surveilling Sebold or the office. The telephoto cameras captured thousands of photographs over 16 months. While the office was being prepared, the FBI helped Sebold build the radio station. The location chosen was Centerport, Long Island, approximately 40 miles from Manhattan. The FBI rented a house in a secluded area where radio transmissions would not be noticed. The house was equipped with shortwave radio equipment far more sophisticated than what German intelligence had provided. The radio station could transmit and receive on multiple frequencies. FBI technicians operated the equipment while Sebold learned to send Morse code messages. The transmissions were powerful enough to reach Hamburg reliably. German intelligence would receive messages they believed came from their agent in New York. In reality, every message was composed by the FBI. The FBI established protocols for what intelligence could be transmitted to Germany. The information had to seem valuable to maintain Sebold's credibility, but could not genuinely harm American security. The solution was to send accurate but outdated information. Information Germany could obtain from public sources, or information that was technically true but strategically misleading. For example, Sebold transmitted information about aircraft production at specific factories. The numbers were accurate but several months old. By the time Germany received and analyzed the intelligence, the information was obsolete. Sebold transmitted descriptions of military equipment, accurate descriptions but of equipment already in service, not secret prototypes. He transmitted assessments of American industrial capacity accurate, but based on information published in trade journals that Germany could have obtained legally. The intelligence was good enough to convince German handlers that Sebold was performing well. They sent congratulatory messages. They requested more information on specific topics. They provided additional funding. They never suspected that Sebold's intelligence came from FBI files rather than genuine espionage. On February 15, 1940, Sebold made his first contact with the spy network. He met Fritz Duquesne at a restaurant in Manhattan. Duquesne was legendary in German intelligence circles. He had spied for Germany during the Boer War against Britain. He had sabotaged British facilities in South America during World War I. He had been arrested, escaped, and continued spying. By 1940, he was 64 years old, operating under his real name, living openly in New York while running espionage operations. Duquesne briefed Sebold on the network's activities. There were approximately 30 active agents in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Some worked in defense plants with access to classified information. Others photographed military facilities. Some recruited additional agents. Others provided cover identities and accommodation addresses. The network was large, active, and productive. Duquesne gave Sebold a list of agents and their specialties. Hermann Lang worked at the Carl L. Norden Company, manufacturer of the Norden bombsight, the most secret military technology in America. Lang had access to blueprints and technical specifications. He had already provided detailed information to German intelligence. Everett Roeder worked at Sperry Gyroscope Company with access to classified targeting systems and gyroscope technology. Lily Stein operated a modeling agency that served as front for espionage operations and money transfers. The list went on. The meeting was filmed by FBI cameras behind the two-way mirror. Duquesne sat in a chair positioned so the cameras captured his face clearly. He spoke directly to Sebold, unaware that FBI agents were filming from the next room. The footage showed Duquesne discussing espionage operations, naming other agents, describing intelligence requirements. It was devastating evidence. Over the next 16 months, Sebold met with 33 different German agents at the 42nd Street office. Every meeting was filmed. The FBI accumulated over 2 hours of film showing German agents discussing espionage, delivering documents, receiving money, providing information about military facilities and defense production. The meetings followed patterns. Agents would arrive at Sebold's office. They would discuss what information they had obtained. They would hand over documents, blueprints, photographs, technical specifications, production schedules. Sebold would photograph the documents using a hidden camera on his desk. Then, he would return the originals to the agent. The agent would leave. FBI technicians would process the film showing the entire transaction. Some agents were careless. They spoke freely about their espionage activities. They named other agents. They described their access to classified information without caution. The hidden cameras recorded everything. Defense attorneys would later watch the films and realize their clients had been filmed committing espionage in exhaustive detail. Other agents were more cautious. They spoke vaguely. They avoided specifics. But the film still captured them, handing documents to Sebold, accepting money, discussing intelligence requirements. Even cautious agents provided enough evidence on film to convict them. Hermann Lang's meetings were particularly damaging. Lang worked at the Norden bombsight factory. The Norden bombsight was one of America's most closely guarded military secrets. The device allowed bombers to drop bombs accurately from high altitude. American doctrine for strategic bombing depended on the Norden bombsight. If Germany obtained the technology, they could replicate it or develop countermeasures. Lang had been stealing Norden bombsight blueprints for over a year before Sebold arrived. He had memorized technical specifications and reproduced them from memory. He had smuggled documents out of the factory. He had photographed manufacturing processes. By 1940, German intelligence had received detailed information about the Norden bombsight, most of it provided by Lang. In meetings with Sebold, Lang described his access and methods. He explained how he memorized specifications during work and wrote them down at home. He discussed technical details of the bombsight's operation. The hidden cameras filmed every meeting. The evidence against Lang was ironclad. Everett Roeder's contributions were similarly valuable to German intelligence. Roeder worked on classified gyroscope systems at Sperry. The gyroscopes were used in aircraft instruments, ship navigation, and targeting systems. Roeder provided technical drawings and specifications. He discussed American developments in gyroscope technology. German engineers used his information to improve their own systems. Lily Stein's role was primarily administrative. She operated the Stein Modeling Agency at 304 West 87th Street. The agency was legitimate. It actually provided models for advertising and fashion photography, but it also served as an accommodation address for espionage communications. Money could be transferred through the agency's accounts. Messages could be left with Stein for other agents. The agency provided cover for meetings and financial transactions. Stein met with Sebold multiple times. She delivered money to him for distribution to other agents. She passed messages. She provided updates on network operations. The FBI filmed every transaction. Stein's role as facilitator made her criminally liable even though she did not steal secrets herself. The FBI investigation expanded beyond the meetings at 42nd Street. Agents conducted surveillance on everyone who met with Sebold. They photographed the suspects leaving the office. They followed them to their homes and workplaces. They identified their associates and contacts. The surveillance was labor-intensive. Dozens of FBI agents worked on the case continuously for 16 months. The surveillance photographs supplemented the hidden camera footage. If a suspect claimed they had never been to Sebold's office, the FBI could produce photographs showing them entering and leaving the building. If a suspect claimed they did not know other members of the network, the FBI could produce photographs showing them meeting. The visual evidence was overwhelming. Meanwhile, the radio station in Centerport operated continuously. Sebold actually FBI technicians transmitted to Hamburg regularly. German intelligence responded with questions, instructions, and requests. The FBI analyzed every message Germany sent to identify their intelligence priorities and methods. German intelligence asked about American aircraft production rates, factory locations, and technical specifications. They asked about convoy schedules and ship movements. They asked about military base locations and troop deployments. The FBI crafted responses that were truthful enough to be credible, but not useful enough to harm American security. The radio intercepts also revealed how German intelligence managed the network. They used specific code words for different types of intelligence. They referenced agents by code numbers rather than names. They provided instructions for dead drops, accommodation addresses, and emergency procedures. The FBI documented everything, learning how German intelligence operated. By June 1941, the FBI had accumulated massive evidence against 33 members of the spy ring. Thousands of feet of film showing espionage meetings, hundreds of intercepted radio messages, thousands of surveillance photographs, documents recovered from suspects' homes, financial records showing money transfers. The case was ready for prosecution. The decision to arrest came from FBI Director Hoover. The operation had run for 16 months. The evidence was complete. Waiting longer might risk exposure if any suspect became suspicious. They might flee or warn others. The arrests needed to occur simultaneously to prevent anyone from escaping. FBI agents prepared meticulously. Each arrest team received photographs of their suspect, information about the suspect's habits and schedule, and instructions for the arrest. The timing was coordinated to the minute. At 0600 on June 28, 1941, all teams would move simultaneously. The arrests proceeded without incident. Most suspects were taken from their homes early in the morning before they left for work. A few were arrested at their workplaces. None resisted. Most seemed shocked. Several asked immediately for lawyers. Duquesne reportedly smiled and said he had expected this eventually. The suspects were transported to FBI headquarters in Manhattan for processing. They were fingerprinted, photographed, and charged with espionage under the Espionage Act of 1917. All 33 were denied bail due to the severity of the charges. They were held in federal detention pending trial. The indictments were announced publicly on June 29th. Newspapers reported the arrests as the largest espionage case in American history. The FBI released some details but kept much of the evidence classified. Hoover gave interviews praising FBI counterintelligence capabilities. The publicity was carefully managed to enhance FBI's reputation while not revealing methods that might compromise future operations. The trial began on September 3, 1941 in federal court in Brooklyn. All 33 defendants were tried together. The prosecution was led by federal attorneys who presented the FBI's evidence systematically. The centerpiece was the film footage from the hidden cameras. The prosecution played hours of film showing defendants meeting with Sebold. The jury watched Herman Lang discussing Norden bombsight specifications. They watched Everett Roeder providing gyroscope technical details. They watched Fritz Duquesne explaining espionage operations. They watched Lily Stein handling money transfers. The footage was damning. Defense attorneys had almost no effective response. Some argued the hidden cameras violated their clients' rights, that filming people without their knowledge was a legal search. The judge ruled the filming was legal because it occurred in a place where defendants had no reasonable expectation of privacy. Some attorneys argued their clients had been entrapped, that Sebold had induced them to commit crimes they would not have committed otherwise. The judge ruled there was no entrapment because the defendants had been engaged in espionage before meeting Sebold. A few defendants attempted to claim they were conducting legitimate business activities. The film footage destroyed these claims. The jury could watch defendants handing over classified documents and discussing espionage operations in their own words. The trial lasted 13 weeks. The jury deliberated for 13 hours. On December 13, 1941, 6 days after Pearl Harbor, the jury returned guilty verdicts for all 33 defendants. The timing was significant. America was now at war with Germany. The jury had no sympathy for German spies. Sentencing occurred in January 1942. Fritz Duquesne received 18 years in federal prison. Herman Lang received 18 years. Everett Roeder received 16 years. Lily Stein received 10 years. Sentences ranged from 2 years to 18 years depending on each defendant's role and cooperation. None received the death penalty because Hoover had decided that execution would make martyrs while long prison sentences would quietly neutralize the threat. Duquesne served 14 years. He was released in 1954 at age 77 due to poor health. He died in 1956. Herman Lang served his full 18-year sentence and was deported to Germany in 1950. Everett Roeder served 13 years and was released in 1954. Lily Stein served her full 10-year sentence and was released in 1950. William Sebold's role as double agent was revealed during the trial. His testimony was critical for prosecuting several defendants who appeared in fewer films or whose filmed conversations were less explicitly incriminating. Sebold testified about his recruitment by German intelligence, his FBI cooperation, and his meetings with each defendant. His testimony corroborated the film evidence and filled gaps in the documentary record. After the trial, Sebold received a $10,000 payment from the federal government for his cooperation. He was relocated under a new identity to protect him from retaliation. He lived quietly in California until his death in 1970. His real name and location were kept secret. Even his obituary did not mention his role in the Duquesne case. The FBI's use of surveillance technology in the Duquesne investigation became a model for future counterintelligence operations. The hidden cameras, two-way mirrors, and film documentation proved more effective than witness testimony or physical evidence alone. Defendants could not plausibly deny activities they were filmed performing. The radio station operation demonstrated that FBI could conduct technical surveillance operations as sophisticated as anything foreign intelligence services were operating. The 16-month operation, transmitting false intelligence to Germany, showed operational patience and discipline that foreign intelligence agencies had not expected from American law enforcement. The case also demonstrated the value of double agents in counterintelligence. Sebold's cooperation had allowed the FBI to identify the entire German network instead of just arresting the few agents whose names appeared on his initial contact list. Without Sebold's cooperation, the FBI might have arrested 5 or 6 spies. With his cooperation, they arrested 33. Post-war analysis revealed that the Duquesne spy ring had been Germany's most productive intelligence network in America before its destruction. Hermann Lang's information on the Norden bombsight had reached Germany and influenced German bombsight development. Everett Roeder's gyroscope information had been used in German navigation systems. Other agents had provided information on American industrial production that helped German military planning. But the intelligence value was limited because Germany could not verify much of what their agents reported. They had no independent way to confirm production figures or technical specifications. Some information was accurate, some was exaggerated. Some was obsolete by the time it reached Germany. German intelligence analysts had difficulty distinguishing reliable intelligence from unreliable reports. After the Duquesne ring was destroyed, Germany had minimal intelligence capability in America. They attempted to send new agents by submarine. Most were caught quickly. The FBI had established procedures for identifying German agents. Immigration screening was tightened. Surveillance of German-American communities increased. Germany was largely blind to American activities for the remainder of the war. The technology used in the Duquesne investigation, hidden cameras, two-way mirrors, film documentation became standard in FBI operations. The techniques were refined and expanded. By the 1950s, the FBI was using sophisticated surveillance technology in organized crime and espionage investigations. The Duquesne case was the proving ground for methods that would be used for decades. The case also established legal precedents. Courts ruled that filming people in places without reasonable expectation of privacy was legal. The rulings enabled law enforcement to use hidden cameras in future investigations without violating Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable search. The Duquesne spy ring was the largest espionage case in American history in terms of number of defendants arrested and convicted in a single operation. Larger spy networks have been discovered since Soviet networks during the Cold War involved more agents over longer periods. But no single FBI operation has matched the Duquesne case for number of simultaneous arrests and convictions. The case demonstrated that American counterintelligence could successfully penetrate and destroy foreign espionage networks using double agents, surveillance technology, and patient investigation. The 16-month operation required discipline and operational security that many observers had doubted American law enforcement possessed. The FBI proved they could conduct sophisticated counterintelligence operations comparable to anything foreign intelligence services were conducting. The human cost was measured in lives disrupted. 33 people received prison sentences ranging from 2 to 18 years. Families were destroyed. Careers were ended. Several defendants died in prison. Others were deported after release. The consequences of choosing espionage over loyalty to the country that had given many of them citizenship and opportunity were severe and permanent. William Sebold's cooperation saved him from prison, but required living under a false identity for 30 years. He could never contact his family in Germany. He could never publicly acknowledge his role. He lived in anonymity until his death. The reward for betraying German intelligence was witness protection and obscurity. The Duquesne spy ring investigation stands as one of FBI's greatest counterintelligence successes. The combination of double-agent operations, surveillance technology, and coordinated arrests destroyed Germany's primary intelligence network in America 6 months before the United States entered World War II. The hidden cameras behind two-way mirrors filmed evidence that convicted all 33 defendants. The radio station transmitted false intelligence for 16 months without German intelligence suspecting compromise, and the entire operation remained secret until the arrests, when Germany discovered simultaneously that their entire American network had been controlled by the FBI from the beginning. The spies had been caught, the technology had worked, and Germany was left blind.